architecture basically covers the hardware components of our computer system. This will be our topic, computer system architecture. And then, system architecture basically covers the hardware components of our computer system. So how they interact with one another, and then on how they communicate. Okay? So why do we need to study this one? Because computer hardware interacts with the operating system. So that is one of the core function of the architecture or the hardware component. Now, so I'll be having series of pictures or images. So let's identify them. Okay. So first one. So yeah. So I don't know if you could identify them. So basically, these are computer CPU. Okay. So we have here an Intel CPU and a AMD CPU. Next one, so we have a computer motherboard and then a laptop memory. So another one, so we have a hard disk and then we have here a battery, CMOS battery. And so another one, so we have here an NVMe SSD. So basically an NVMe SSD, this is one of the fastest storage devices nowadays. Okay? So I think this one can transmit data basically 3.6 gig per second. And then another one is we have an Intel Optane drive. So Optane drive, basically this one optimizes the memory of your computer system. So it helps our computer system to perform better with this Optane drive. And then, so yeah, so another one, these are more on the gaming side. So under we have a memory on the left side. So this one has cooling pins. So this helps our memory and the computer system itself to cool more. Okay, to be ventilated more. And then another one, so on the right side, this big block of machine. So basically, this is an air-cooled, uh, what we call this one? So air cooler for the CPU. Okay? So yeah. So another one. So yeah. So on the left side, so we have here the radiator. So AIO. AIO device for our CPU again. So this one is for cooling. If you have an idea with a radiator of an engine, so a vehicle, so basically that acts almost the same. Okay, there is a water so pumped into your CPU, so to help that CPU to cool more. Okay, but the problem with this one for the water cooled CPU is that this is most likely to be maintained more in the long run. Okay, me myself is not a fan of this one. I do prefer air-cooled computer system. Okay, so on the right side, so you have here a wireless receiver for our devices. Yeah, so that's it. So that's for the overview of some of the architecture or devices that our computer system has. Hi, so next slide, we have here the system bus. Hi. So as we can see here, so we have different computer devices or computer hardware. So we have a scanner, we have a monitor, you have a CD drive, you have a floppy disk, hard disk, printer, mouse, you have the memory and the CPU. Okay. And then we have here different controllers, and then you have a one line on the middle. So what is that one line or what this one signifies? So basically, all of this hardware, they communicate through a line, okay? Through a single line of communication, and then all of them are connected to our motherboard, okay? Our motherboard, so it contains the different buses or line of communication whereas these different devices communicates. Okay, so we could say that our motherboard basically is one of the most important hardware of our computer system. So why? Because this will be the mode of communication for the different devices. If your motherboard fails, so basically uh, all of this component will be uh, damaged, or technically will not work or perform well. Okay, they can communicate with one another. So another one, so this controller, so what are these controllers? So this controller are basically our driver. Okay, we have the hardware part wherein the data moves, and then we have a software part wherein that will be our drivers. Okay, so these are software driver. So what are those? When we are installing computer hardware, so all of them should have a driver for them to communicate to our motherboard and some of the other components. Okay, so for example, we have a new flash drive, we have a new mouse. When we try to plug in those components, so automatically a driver will be installed for that device to work. Okay, so we could say that all of the components being connected to our computer system have a driver for easy communication with one another. Okay? So we could go to our device manager to check all of the components that our computer system has and to check for the driver itself. So uh, basically, we could do some updates for those drivers, and then we could uninstall or install them, disable, enable them if we want to, upon needed. Okay. Another one, when we try to open our computer system, so automatically our computer performs pause. Okay. So what do we mean by pause? So POST. So pause means power on self test. Okay. Power on self test is a hardware run for our computer system. Before our computer system boots up, automatically it will look for all the devices connected to your motherboard, and it will check for all the drivers that components has to check if there will be any errors, kung meron ba mga errors dun sa mga devices, and then your computer system will prompt you if there will be a major error. Okay? So what are those major errors? For example, your hard disk or your SSD doesn't have any driver or maybe damaged. So automatically your computer system will not boot up, and then on your screen, so there will be an error or displaying na, for example, operating system not found. Okay? So basically, that is a post test. Okay? So your computer system checks for the hardware, and then nakita nila that your hard disk is not plugged in properly, or your hard disk or your SSD drive has a damage on it. Okay? What are some of the minor errors? So for example, you doesn't have any driver or an error driver for your mouse. So your computer system will boot up. So basically, that will work, but yung mouse mo, for example, so hindi siya gagana kasi hindi niya makita yung driver. Okay? So, that is pause. So, next topic natin is computer boot up. So, how our computer system boots up. So, basically, yan. So, number one, when we try to press in the power button, so automatically, your computer system will activate the bootstrap loader. So the bootstrap loader basically is connected to our hard disk or our SSD where our operating system resides. Okay, so what will be the purpose of a bootstrap loader? It will look for the operating system. Okay? And then once the operating system is found in your hard disk, so that will be load up to our random access memory or the memory itself, and then our computer system will boot na dire-diretso. Okay? So, yan. So, yung bootstrap loader, yan, nagkaroon na ako ng error dito dati eh. So, dati nangyari, I created a partition, so through disk management, and then, worst case, yung bootstrap loader software ko is nawala or napalipat siya basically dun papunta dun sa another drive na ginawa ko. So, anong nangyari? Nung trinay kong i-boot ngayon yung computer system ko, ayaw niya mag-boot kasi hindi niya makita yung bootstrap loader, walang naghahanap ng operating system ko. So, the good thing is, meron akong CD no, nung time na yon. Pag plug in ko ng CD, so automatic na siyang naglagay ng bootstrap loader. So, hindi ko na kailangan i-reformat pa yung computer system ko. Okay? Now, ganun kahalaga yung bootstrap loader kasi pag wala yung bootstrap loader mo, walang maghahanap ng operating system mo, walang maglo-load ng OS. So, pag hindi nag-load yung OS mo, so hindi magbo-boot yung computer system mo. And then, once our computer system boots up, so automatic na, OS na yung magko-control ng lahat. Okay, pero kailangan siyang i-activate ni bootstrap loader. Yan. So, as we can see here in the diagram, so yung bootstrap loader mo is located to our ROM. Okay? Okay? So, read-only memory. So, this one, ayan, nandun yan. Okay? Yun lang yung purpose niya, taghanap ng OS. Pag nakita niya si OS, ibibigay niya sa RAM para gumana na yung OS. Ayan. So, next one is we have traps and interrupt. Ayan. So, when we say a trap, so sabi dito, any indicative of an abnormal condition sensed by our CPU, which usually means that an error has occurred. So, yan, any error na na-encounter natin within our computer system na biglaan or accidentally nag-prompt yung error. Ano ba yung mga error na to? For example, memory not found. Okay? Meron kang file dun sa flash drive, binuksan mo yung kunyari, meron kang Word, binuksan mo yung Word. Tapos, nasa flash drive yon. Okay? So, nung tinatry mo nang i-save yung file, kunyari, accidentally, natanggal mo yung flash drive. Sinesave mo ngayon yung Word mo, ayaw mag-save kasi hindi niya na makita yung file location kung saan siya nakasave. Magpa-prompt yun ng error na hindi niya makita yung source nung file na yon, so hindi siya mag-save. Okay? Yung prompted na error na yon, so that is a trap. Okay? Any error na pinapop ng computer system mo, yung ino-okay mo usually, kina-cancel mo, these are trap. Okay? So, another one naman, what is an interrupt? So, yan. An interrupt is any signal sent to our CPU which commonly is in the form of request of an I/O completion. So, yan. Pag sinabi naman nating interrupt, we are commanding our computer system to do something. Yun yung pinakamadaling way of saying that. Okay? Ano ba yung mga binibigay nating commands? Lahat ng ginagawa mo sa computer system mo is a command based. Okay? Kasi sinasabi mo kung ano yung gagawin niya. A simple mouse hover, a simple mouse click, a simple pressing letter to a keyboard. Those are commands that we give to our computer system. A scheduled antivirus run, a scheduled disk cleanup. So those are commands. Okay? So why? For example, you press letter A to your keyboard. You are commanding our computer system to display a letter dun sa screen mo. Okay? So for example, you press letter A. Nagbigay ka ng command na through an I/O. Ayan, ano ba ibig sabihin ng I/O? Input-output device. Nagbigay ka ng command to a keyboard which is an input device, and then after that, yung monitor mo na output device is dinisplay ngayon yung letter na binigay mo. You are commanding your computer system to display letter A to your monitor. Interrupt yon. Okay? Kahit na anong ginagawa mo, halimbawa, dinouble click mo yung my computer mo. Double click means you are opening that folder, and then simply we could say that you are commanding your computer system to open that particular folder. Okay? That is an trap tsaka yung interrupt. Our next slide will cover storage structure. So basically, this will cover all of the topics with regards to any storage device. Okay, so we have here, as we can see in the diagram, meron tayong tatlo. Okay, so we have three category. So yung una, we have mga inboard memory. And then pangalawa, we have mga outboard memory. And then lastly, we have offline storages. Okay? So unahin muna natin itong offline kasi nag-iisa lang. Okay, when we say offline storages, so ayan, this one is old school actually. We pertain to magnetic tape. Okay, so when we say magnetic tape, these are old school devices. If you are familiar with a cassette tape, ayan, a Betamax, okay? So those are, hindi yung Betamax na dugo yung Betamax na mga VHS, yung mga ganun for video dati. Yun yung mga magnetic tape, yun yung pag hinatak mo, may malaking kulay brown. And then, uh, yung mga dati ko na, kasi mga bata na kayo but I don't know if you have an experience before, yung mga cassette tape natin dati na pag ang haba, sobrang haba ng pagkakatak natin, minsan nilalagyan natin ng pencil, tas iniikot-ikot natin para bumalik. Yan, so yun yun. And then, yung mga, ewan ko yung may mga tatay tayo dati, na pang rewinder yung tawag, yung mukhang sasakyan, ilalagay mo yung VHS, yung Betamax na tape, i-rewind mo para mapanood mo ulit yung video. Okay, so yun yung mga magnetic tape. Okay? Now, yan. So those pertain to offline storages. So let's go now to inboard. So yan, inboard na tayo. So when we say inboard, ayan, you have three types or three descriptions na meron. So una, we have volatile, and then pangalawa, we have expensive, and then next one is extremely fast. So yan daw yung mga category niya, mga description niya. So when we say volatile, you have temporary storage of data. So ibig sabihin, when we try to close our computer system, when we try to shut down our computer system, all of this memory stored to them will be flushed out. So mawawala na. Next one, we have expensive. So when we say expensive, so basically sobrang mahal. Yun naman yun eh. Sobrang mahal, and then lastly, ang bilis daw, sobrang bilis. Okay? So what are this? So you have here a register, you have a cache memory, and then you have a main memory. So what are this? These are type ng memory na nakalagay directly sa device or nakalagay basically dun sa motherboard mo. Okay? We all know main memory. So main memory is RAM, random access memory. Okay, this is volatile. Kasi pag pinatay natin yung computer system natin, mawawala na yung nakastore sa main memory. Okay? So, a cache memory help our computer system to store data. Okay? Ito yung mga frequently mong binubuksan or frequently mong binibigay ng mga commands or instruction with your computer devices. So, ini-store niya yon. So, one example, halimbawa, on how main memory, how cache memory work. Main memory muna tayo. So, yan. So, halimbawa, bagong bukas yung computer system mo. Okay? Di ba napapansin nyo, I don't know, pag unang bukas yung PC mo, nagbukas ka ng application, ang bagal. Okay, ang bagal niya. Bakit? Kasi from your computer device, you're commanding your computer system to open a particular software. Ano ba, dinoble click mo si Microsoft Word, kunyari. Ang bagal niya, bagal lumabas, di ba? Why? Kasi ginagawa ng OS mo, hahanapin niya, nandun na ba sa main memory mo yung yung application na Word. Dahil unang bukas, wala pa yun sa main memory. So, gagawa niya, lalampas siya sa main memory mo, pupunta siya sa operating system, sa hard disk rather, or sa SSD mo. Okay? Once na nakita niya na yun sa SSD or sa hard disk mo, gagawin niya, ibabalik niya yung application para mag-open, but before niya buksan yon, ilalagay niya na sa main memory mo. Okay? Ang purpose ng pag-load sa main memory is para ka lang may temporary storage na. Okay? Once na nasa main memory na yon, maglo-load na yon, magbubukas na. Now, halimbawa, close mo na yung Word. Okay? Inopen mo uli. Without shutting down your computer system, binuksan mo uli siya, ang bilis lumalabas, di ba? Nagpa-pop up na lang, bukas na agad. Why? Kasi ginagawa niya yung operating system mo, bubuksan mo yon, nag-command ka na bubuksan, hahanapin niya sa main memory, nakikita niya na sa main memory kasi binuksan mo na kanina. Kaya anong nangyayari, hindi ka na pumupunta dun sa outboard storage mo na hard disk, mabilis na yung transaction ng data, nasa inboard na, which is main memory, kaya pop-up na lang siya ng pop-up. Okay? Yung cache and register, almost the same yung function nila. Yun nga lang, ang ini-store nito, mga instructions na binibigay mo to our computer system. Okay? So, next one, let's go with outboard memory. So, outboard memory, ang description niya could be non-volatile. We have your cheap and then slow. So, yan. Okay, so when we say non-volatile, so ibig sabihin, permanent yung data mo unless i-delete mo intentionally. Okay? So, di ba alam naman natin yung mga videos, mga files, mga sounds, music na ini-store natin to our computer system, hindi yan basta-basta nawawala unless dinidelete natin. Okay? So, that is non-volatile. So, next one, we have cheap. So, sobrang mura daw. Okay? Paano ba natin nasabing mura? Okay. When we try to compare the prices, okay, for example, a RAM. Ang RAM natin, ang isang 8 gig na memory ngayon, so most likely, that is 2,000 to 3,000 pesos, mga ganyan. That is 8 gigabytes of memory. Now, let's go with our computer device, hard disk, kunyari. A hard disk could be 2,500 to 3,000 for a 1 tera hard disk. Ganun kalaki. So, try to imagine you have same price but for the main memory, you have only 8 gig. For the hard disk, you have 1 tera. So, doon natin nasabi kung bakit cheap. Okay, kung bakit mura. Okay? So, for example, an SSD. So, SSD natin ng mga 256, sakto lang yung brand. So, most likely mga 2,000. Ganyan. We could have a 120 gig na SSD na mga around 1,500. So, ganun na sila kamura ngayon. Before, no unang-unang labas, sobrang mahal. A 120 gig could cost you around 8,000. So, ganun siya kamahal dati. So, slow. Ayan. So, bakit daw slow? So, habang lumalayo kasi sa motherboard mo, yung isang storage device, mas bumabagal siya mag-perform. One example. Halimbawa, when we try to copy a file from one flash drive to another flash drive, di ba sobrang bagal niya mag-copy? Bakit? Kasi pareho yung outboard memory. Ang dami niyang dadaanan bago siya makapagpasa ng file. Okay? Dadaan niya sa mga buses, dadaan niya sa motherboard, sobrang tagal ng communication. Okay? Kaya, ang pinakamaganda natin gawin when you are transferring data na sobrang laki, gagawin mo, lagay mo muna sa hard disk, from your hard disk, tsaka mo lagay papunta dun sa isang storage pa, para mas mabilis. Pero kung halimbawa naman, maliit lang, mga 100 MB lang, pwede mo na yung direct. Okay? Especially, for example, you're using USB 3.0, 3.1. So, mabilis na naman yung file transfer nun eh. Okay? So, ano ba itong mga example nito? So, you have yung mga CD, DVD, you have flash drive, you have your hard disk, you have your SSD. So, lahat ng natatanggal mo na disk with your motherboard, with your computer system, ano pa bang mga ngayon? Mga memory card. So, yung mga yan, those are outboard type ng memory. A floppy disk, kung naabutan nyo, outboard din yan. Okay? So, yan. So, we have your caching. So, paano ba pag sinabi natin cache? So, una daw, we have this cache, and then yung pangalawa, we have memory cache. Okay, let's go with this cache. So, this cache, ginagawa nito, yung computer system mo kasi, automatically, lahat ng ginagawa mo, kina-cache na yan. Okay, pag sinabi natin this cache, hindi to kamukha nung kanina, na cache na sinabi natin within the inboard memory. Ito naman, sa outboard to nag-i-store. Okay, paano to nangyayari? Halimbawa, when we are browsing the internet, lahat na nakikita mo doon na pictures, lahat na nakikita mo doon na mga templates, lahat na nakikita mo na mga icons, those are stored into your hard disk. Anong purpose nun? Para pag wala ka ng data, pwede mong ma-retrieve pa yung mga picture. So, di ba, for example, nag-i-internet ka, di ba? Sa unang bukas ng picture, ang bagal kasi dina-download na yon. Pero nag-close ka, and then, inopen mo ulit yung Facebook, nakita mo na naman yung picture na yun, di ba automatic loaded na yon? Kasi na-store na yun sa hard disk mo. So, ibig sabihin, ganito yan. lahat ng nakikita mong mga picture, lahat na nakikita mong mga ads, lahat na nakikita mong mga templates, lahat yon dina-download yon papunta sa computer system mo. This is one of the reason kung bakit bumabagal yung computer system natin. Kasi, naiipunan na tayo ng cache. Okay? Paano ba nagde-delete ng disk cache? Madali lang. Disk cleanup lang. Okay? Disk cleanup, delete mo yung mga cache memory mo, and then mapa-flash out yon, mas makahinga yung computer system mo. Okay? Mas bibilis siya mag-react. Especially when you are not doing this, makikita mo na, kita mo yung difference sa performance. Okay?
So yan, so next one we have memory cache naman. So yan, store copies of data from frequently used main memory location. So yan, most likely these are instructions lang. Ito yung mga usually mga instructions na binibigay ko ng computer system. Halimbawa, lagi mong ito, inboard to. So ibig sabihin, nabubura, volatile to. Okay, mga instructions. Halimbawa, nung binuksan mo yung computer system mo, lagi mong binubuksan si Chrome. Lagi mong binubuksan si Word. Lagi mong binubuksan si Photoshop. So, those instructions, yun yung ini-store niya kay memory cache. Okay? Dito mo makikita yung pag bumili ka ng CPU, nakalagay doon, you have L1 cache, L2 cache, yung mga ganun. So, ibig sabihin, mas malaki yung cache memory niya, mas marami siyang instruction na i-store, mas mabilis mag-perform ng computer system mo kasi mas marami siyang instruction na hold. Okay? That is caching. Ayan. So, next topic natin, we have here 3 aspects of choosing a storage device. Choosing a storage device. So, tatlo daw yung kailangan mo tandaan. So, una, this is the most important for me. We have speed. Okay? So, next one, you have the capacity, and then last one, you have the cost. So, these 3 categories actually are interacting with one another. So, una, before you could have a speedy device, kailangan costly siya. Ganun naman lagi eh. Mas mabilis, mas maganda, mas mahal. Okay? So una, bakit ba kailangan okay yung speed? Okay? The faster kasi mag-perform, halimbawa, you have a hard disk. Yung hard disk natin, hindi mo pare-pareho yan. Okay? Merong hard disk na mura, merong hard disk na mahal. Bakit? Kasi yung iba, mas mabilis yung RPM nila, yung revolutions per minute. So, ibig sabihin, mas mabilis yung RPM, mas mabilis siyang naghahanap ng data, mas mabilis yung read and write niya. One example, when you are buying a memory card, so yan, so yung mga memory card, makikita mo dun sa taas minsan, meron 10, tas may bilog. Okay? Halimbawa, merong 8, tas may bilog. Ano ba yung may bilog na yun? Yung, ano ba ibig sabihin niya? Yung mga 10, 8, 6 naman nakikita, those are category or class nila. Ang pinakamataas na class ay class 10. So, ibig sabihin, yung class 10, ito yung mabilis mag-perform, mabilis mag-read and write. Example, meron ka halimbawa napakamahal na DSLR camera. Okay, for example, you have a Mark 1, kunyari, na DSLR. Napakabilis naman, parang Armalite na yun. Pag hinold mo yung shutter speed, automatically, burst na lang yung burst ng picture, sobrang bilis, parang may machine gun. Okay? Now, kung yung memory card na ginagamit mo is hindi ganun kaganda, that will take an effect dun sa DSLR mo. Babagal yung pag-capture niya. Hindi niya makukuha yung maximum speed niya. Na kunyari, sa halip na ilang shutter speed per second yung or per minute yung kanya, hindi niya magawa kasi ang bagal mag-perform ng storage niya. Okay? So, ganun din sa mga hard disk. So, if you want to have a more faster computer system, you should invest more into a faster storage device. Okay? So, nire-recommend ko if you have a extra money, you could buy an SSD. Okay? You could buy a NVMe SSD as long as your motherboard support those storage devices. Okay? Mahalaga na yung operating system mo is nandun sa SSD or nandun sa NVMe. Kasi, pag nandun siya sa mabilis na hardware nakalagay, mas mabilis siya nagpa-perform. Okay? Kaya dito mo makikita eh. If you have a computer system running on hard disk, and if you have a computer system running on SSD, boot up process pa lang, kita mo na agad yung difference. If you have an SSD storage device, most likely,
8 seconds, 6 seconds, bukas na. You could click na dun sa computer system mo. Pero if you're using an SSD, minsan mga 30 seconds, pwede pa nga 40 seconds bago ka nakapag-navigate na. That is speed. So, next one naman, capacity. Ayan. So, capacity, most likely, ayan. Kung gaano mo ka, depende sa need mo na to, actually. If you are storing too much data, the higher the better. You could buy 1 tera, 2 tera, 4 tera, so depending on your need. Pero kung halimbawa, you're buying a flash drive kunyari, alam mo naman sa sarili mo na i-store mo lang dito ay mga Word file, mga ganun lang. Bibili ka ba ng mga 1 to 8 gig? You could have an 8 gig kasi halos yun na yung pinakamababa ngayon. Okay, yung pinakamababa na lang kasi ang baba naman ng ilalagay mo eh. So this will be depending on the need that you are having. Next one, cost. Ayan. So yung cost na to, medyo significant to kasi halimbawa, anak ka naman ni Pacquiao, di ba? Hindi na kayo naghihirap. Okay? So this is only a joke, ha? So ayan. Now, so this one, kung kaya mo naman, if you can avail something na mas mahal, you could have a better performance, you could have a better lifespan, mas okay. 'Di ba? Why settle dun sa mga sub-brand na alam mo naman na hindi tatagal? Diba? You could invest if you have extra money. Pero if you're investing something, pero alam mo naman na hindi ka na makakain after, or magtutuyo ka na lang after, or magsasardinas ka na lang lagi after kasi gusto mo mabili to, parang hindi na siya masyadong significant na gawin. Okay? Parang hindi siya ideal gawin. Okay? So, itong cost na to, so dito, didepende na yun sa mga user. Okay? Yan. So, ano ba itong mga different types ng mga storages? So, ito, nasabi na rin naman natin to kanina. So, you have disk pack. So, yung disk pack, luma na to. Parang pinagpatong-patong lang to ng mga disk. Okay? You have magnetic disk, magnetic tape, etc. So, yan. Ayan. So, we have disk layout. So, ayan. If you try to check daw yung isang hard disk, gumagana lang to sa mga disk type. Ano ba yung mga disk type? Yung mga rotating storage sa loob. Pag binuksan mo yung hard disk, meron niyang umiikot sa loob na disk. Okay, kaya nga siya hard disk eh. Kasi meron siyang rotating parts sa loob. Okay? So, itong hard disk na to, most likely, malapit na tong mawala. Okay? These are being replaced na by SSD. Okay? Anong kasing difference ng hard disk? Ang hard disk kasi meron siyang mga rotating parts na ito yung nagiging prone sa pagkasira ng computer system. Okay, so halimbawa, nalaglag mo accidentally or nasipa mo yung CPU mo or yung CPU, hindi pala, yung chassis mo, nasipa mo habang nag-perform siya. Naalog yung disk habang nag-read and write siya, may possibility na makorrupt yung file. Okay? Kaya ito, somehow, slowly, nire-replace na to ng SSD. Kasi yung SSD, wala siyang rotating part. Para ka lang may malaking memory card. Yun. Parang ganun yung SSD ngayon. Now, ano ba itong mga sector na to? Ano ba itong mga gap na to? So, parang pag trinay mong isom yung rotating disk, ayan, yan yung makikita mo. You have sectors, you have yung mga track. Okay? Ano ba yung mga S3, S4, S5 na nakikita mo? Diyan mo nilalagay yung mga data. Diyan sila nakalagay. Kaya kung makikita mo minsan, pag nagkakaroon ng disk checkup, tapos meron kang mga bad sector. So, ibig sabihin, yung mga parts na yan is either sira na, hindi ka na makapag-store ng data, corrupted. So, ibig sabihin, yung mga part na yan, yan yung pinaglalagyan mo ng data, yan yung mga nasisira. Okay, to give you an example, for example, meron kang CD. Okay? Compact disc. Tapos, di ba, na-experience na dati nung bata tayo, di ba may mga favorite tayong kanta. Mga favorite mo kasing kanta, nakastore yan sa mga sector na yan. Dahil lagi mo siyang piniplay, na-scratch siya. Di ba? Halimbawa, nagasgas na. Di ba meron dating tendency na nagpe-play ka ng music, tapos kakanta siya, biglang nag-stop, tapos after a certain second, dumidiretso na naman. Bakit? Kasi dumaan siya dun sa sector na sira. Okay, di ba pwedeng parang naghahang, tapos didiretso? Sorry for the sound, pero parang ganun yung nangyayari before, di ba? So, ayan. Dahil dumaan siya dun sa sector na sira, hindi niya ma-play yung part na yon, hindi niya ma-read, parang naghahang. Okay, and then pag nakalampas na siya sa sector na yun, kumakanta na uli. Kasi okay yung mga next sector. Okay? That is how a disc layout or that is a different part ng mga disc. Ayan. So, that's the last one. So, this is lecture number 2. So, after this one, we'll be having processes. So, yun naman yung next topic. So, if you have any question with this one, you could write down those questions and then next meeting, so pwede nyo tanong sa akin.